everybody. It's Friday, January 8th, 2021. This is Sinner Baby, and you're listening to Stand Radio. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump right on in here and fill you guys in on some of the things that I've been seeing and hearing about that have gone on in the last 24 hours or so. For those of you that haven't heard. And I just, basically had been looking through online and had seen an article. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to go any further right now until I just go ahead, get on here in studio, and just, as I'm taking this information in, go ahead and, let my thoughts be said. That way I get them on record. So that way I don't have to continue going. And it's just so much stuff coming in at this point that no matter what, I end up not, stopping to drop or record anything. Because I'm thinking, I gotta get this other information. I gotta learn this. I gotta know that, there's just too much going on. So what I'm going to do is share with you this article that I had saw. And it was on the Fox 4 website. I just happened to be looking, and it was a comment from Senator Lisa Murkowski, who is a Republican. And I literally, when I saw it, she's a Republican from Alaska. She basically has become the first Republican senator to call for President Trump's resignation, and is basically, doing that and blaming it on that violent mob, supposedly, of his supporters that stormed the Capitol Wednesday. She's quoted saying, "I want him out. He has caused enough damage." She further went on and stated that she's basically also questioned whether she'll remain a Republican, and is also quoted saying, "If the Republican Party has become nothing more than the party of Trump, I sincerely question whether this is the party for me." Well, I sincerely question her role as a senator then. I question how it is that she is going to try to be in a position where she is supposed to back up and represent and work for the constituents, and yet she wants to take her personal feelings, and try and attack the president, basically, whether people realize it or not. This last minute impeachment, what a waste of taxpayer dollars, time, headlines, energy, right? If you're days away from somebody supposedly being able to step in at Inauguration Day, why can't you just let something go? Well, I'll tell you why. Why is it so important? Why are they just wanting to all of a sudden invoke the 25th Amendment? Seriously? They have blown so much money, not to mention, let's not even go into how much money that they've probably stolen from all of us, okay? Really though. Okay? But to literally be so classless, let's be honest. Anybody in her position doing what she's doing, she just makes, in my opinion, she just makes herself look as guilty as she can be. Literally. These people are stressing out because they know that Trump card, it just came in. And for those of you that are not aware, let me enlighten you, because of what has happened, the turn of events, and I don't know if turn of events is, the best way to put it, but for the past 7 weeks, quietly behind closed doors, there have been people working on getting certain information and sworn testimony and affidavits together that not only, prove that our president has been right, whether people like him or not, that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is the election was fraudulently, stolen. Okay? That's all there is to it. So we all need to grow up. People on both sides of it need to grow up. We need to have some integrity. For those of you that, don't like Trump and you're just going to kick your feet and stomp your feet, well, you're either a paid provocateur or you are completely childish and ignorant if you fail to look at the information that is being provided, okay? The fall of mankind, pretty sure it says somewhere, and it might even be biblical, I'm thinking, that the fall of mankind is going to be our failure to pay attention to the information that's provided. So, hold up, take the information in, and don't make it a big, childish temper tantrum because you don't get to say, hey, I was right. Because it's not about that. It is about our republic. It is about our children. It is about our country. It is about our nation. Hell, it's about our species, our humanity. It's about, what's morally right. We have children that are looking up to us that we have an obligation and a duty to protect. Same way we have an obligation and a duty to those who are Americans. Whether you think so or not, it is an obligation and it is our duty to protect our republic from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And right now, we've got both going on. So step back and ask yourself, and if you have to measure it and decide how much you care about it by measuring dollar signs, do that. I don't care how you do it. Just so long as it's done, okay? Because what we have here is one heck of a mess. And thank goodness that Italy decided to step up and help America out. And thank goodness for a couple of amazingly hardworking organizations who have spent, I'm sure, tirelessly. I'm sure these people are exhausted, but they have spent countless hours and, man hours and money to break this story and bring the truth out. The founder of Nations in Action, who is Maria Zack, her organization, they partnered with Institute of Good Governance. And together they had been for, 7 weeks at least, have been trying to retain and get the information that would prove the election was stolen. And they succeeded. They, with the help of all the people in their organization, working so hard, and the help of, I'm sure, countless others, they have actually got their hands finally on a sworn affidavit and delivered a couple of them to Congress. They actually ended up, they know the person who uploaded the software, and I'm talking about the Dominion software. I'm sorry. They know the person who committed the act of and uploaded the instructions, I should say. Not the software. They uploaded the instructions in order to that told the satellite that was owned by a company called Leonardo SPA to flip the votes. And, that's that. I mean, the guy that actually did the vote flipping, who took on that operation and who went and uploaded, literally is the guy who took and put the instructions out there to flip the votes from Trump to Biden on the evening of November 3rd and the early morning of November 4th when the votes were still being counted. That guy who uploaded the instructions to a satellite for the votes to be flipped, they got him. And he's got a sworn, signed affidavit. He's got one of the top attorneys in Italy that's representing him. And, I'm sure they would have tried to just push that under the rug too. However, it's already seen a federal court over in Italy. How about that, folks? How about that? The guy, basically, he, unbelievable. He was just an employee, but, they were talking about Leonardo SPA, for those that aren't familiar, is like the 11th, I've heard 11th and I've also heard 8th, largest defense contractor in the world. Government contracts, they get those all the time. It was an employee of Leonardo SPA that admitted what he did to flip those votes. And, Leonardo SPA, they're an Italian cybersecurity company. So, this guy didn't just say, hey, look, I did it. I mean, he gave the who, what, when, where, how. Literally. So this is real. This really happened. The president's been right. There was foreign interference. It did occur. And people who participated in this country need to be prosecuted, of which he pointed his finger at the CIA. I don't know who exactly in the CIA, but I do believe that, yes, the CIA is implicated, and as well as some people that were pretty high up in the U.S. Embassy, from what I understand. And so there you have it. It happened. So, now, this guy put himself, and I'm sure his whole family's lives, they're at risk. And there are people whose lives are literally at risk and on the line right now for wanting to save our country. Because they know this is that important. They know what's on, the line here. The fact that a lot of Americans don't seem to get that is what's really upsetting to me. But thank goodness for Maria Zack and, Nations in Action and the Institute for Good Governance, really though. Thank goodness. And Italy, thank goodness to Italy, because they really stepped up. And at this point, what everybody needs to be doing is being honest with themselves and having the integrity to do that. We need to stop being childish. We need to stop stomping our feet if people are stomping their feet. If you want to stomp them for the right reason. Be upset that this company that just literally helped to orchestrate one of the biggest crimes against our country, which, if people are hurting our country, they're hurting us individually, each one of us. Matter of fact, where I come from, if you hurt one of us, you hurt all of us. And that's the way that we need to go back to thinking. And we need to go back to being. Love your neighbor, do unto others. That kind of thing. At this point, you're talking about a company that received $1 billion of our taxpayer money just this past year alone. But according to this guy, they still helped with orchestrating the theft of a 2020 election. That's what Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani have been, begging to have and to see, because they knew something was off. They knew what was going on. They just didn't quite have all the pieces that were necessary in order to prove what had happened. Well, now they do. They have the who, what, when, where, and why. Why. Sorry, I had somebody walk in here, so hey, how you doing? Who, what, when, where, hi. Well, though, speaking of the word hi, let's just say, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the people in Congress must be. I mean, the way that they're acting right now is absolutely ridiculous. They couldn't act more guilty, really, though. That's why the Democrats are freaking out. That's why they're all of a sudden so important to push this very last minute 25th Amendment that they want to have Biden invoke. Which is ridiculous to me that they would even be willing, after all the turmoil and all the trouble that they have caused, and after all of the ridiculous division, fighting, arguments, upheaval, unrest, after all the problems that these people, because they are literally children, our country wasn't like this that long ago. Okay? People have to realize this was a coup. Okay? This is a bigger agenda. This is what, in a nutshell, our country has been infiltrated. It's been a Trojan horse effect. It's been a lot of years coming. A lot of people have put a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of effort into bringing America down. And us as American people, even though we have seen the slogan almost probably every day of our lives, of united we stand, divided we fall, apparently we are so caught up in the world and in ourselves and in, I don't even know what you would call it, because I don't come from a place where any of it makes sense. But for whatever reason, people have become soft, and people have also become easy targets mentally to buy in to all of this misinformation. It's not just misinformation, it's intentional lies. And it makes us look stupid. It really, truly makes us look stupid, guys. These people in these offices of power have made us look like jackasses. As a country, as a nation. We know we're supposed to be united. That is how come our republic works. Because people know, countries know, America doesn't work like this. But it does right now. And you see where that gets us. And most of you probably haven't got the slightest thought or clue as to how deep this really goes. Because if you did, I have no doubt in my mind that we would have been done with this this mess a long time ago. People would be working together. We need to do away with the parties. We need to do away with them so we don't have to say right and left and Republican and Democrat. Because honestly, Len, let's be honest. I'm just being honest here. Okay? Because we're all at fault, myself included. But apparently, in my opinion, as a people, as a species, we are not mature enough. And we are not capable of handling those labels. We apparently have too much ego and too much pride. And the Bible warns us about that. It warns us about a lot of it. What's going on right now, in my opinion, also very biblical. The vaccine, biblical. I believe that to be the mark of the beast. Look up, HR 6666. Why would they name it, why would they number it that? Why would they try to tell us that it's a safe vaccine when they know it's not? Why would they do that? Ask yourselves this, guys. We are not just dealing with flesh and blood. We are dealing with powers and principalities. For those of you who do not realize it, I'm talking about the hierarchy of angels. Okay, you have good and bad angels, but the hierarchy of angels. Okay, powers and principalities. Do some homework, guys. we are basically, I can't even, I'm really trying to like watch how I word some things right now. I really am. But, and you can think I sound crazy all day long, but know this, when I talk from the heart, I tell it like it is, and the things that I talk about and tell you guys, unless I say, hey, I'm not real sure about something, then know that I am sure about it. Know that I have put in the time to do the research, unlike a lot of people. Because I've had the ability to do that time-wise, and I understand that not all of us can do that. I do get that. But as with everything else, as with everything, there's a price. Okay? We don't have any more time to continue this division. We do not have any more time to waste taking payoffs. If we're the people that are taking payoffs, or, not we, but because I know I'm not, but for those that are taking payoffs, I understand it might be a quickie, $25 an hour, and you might need to eat and pay your college tuition. I get that. I can understand that. I'm not saying I think it's right, and I'm not condoning it, though. Nor am I doing that. I think that you probably have just as good of a shot at finding somebody who would give you some food, then just you're selling yourselves out too. That's what I'm saying. When one of us gets screwed, we all do. And that's just the way it is. Whether people realize it or not, okay? Everything here in this world, everything in this universe, we are all connected. Energy is perpetual. You understand? Energy is everything. Do you guys realize we are on the same frequency as Earth? Literally, the planet runs on the same frequency that our human bodies do. I don't think that that's coincidence, considering it tells us in the good book that the Lord breathed life into us, but we came from, like we were dust, we were clay, we were earth, you see? And when we all start acting out and acting a fool, if you really stop and pay attention, you're going to realize that the earth, it is paying the price and feeling what's going on as well. Because again, same frequency. I know you guys know that you've heard at some point, I'm sure, in your lives, take your shoes and socks off. Go out. Stand barefoot in the grass. Ground yourself. Literally, ground yourself. It's good for you. It's good for your soul. There's reasons for that, guys. So if you look around, all the madness starts going on, and humanity starts acting a fool. What does Mother Earth do? From what I've seen, volcanoes going off, tsunamis, earthquakes, and I mean, we're talking some pretty big ones, okay? I'm around here in the heartland, and I'm telling you, never heard so many earthquakes as we have lately, and we're sitting on about the biggest fault line in the world out here. And y'all can think I'm crazy all day long, but we're not the only ones. We're not the only life out there. Matter of fact, even Israel's, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's one of their heads of their space stuff, He just came out not that long ago, like weeks ago, literally a couple weeks ago, and admitted that the Galactic Federation is very real. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the Galactic Federation, check it out on YouTube, That's all you got to do, but it is it's a collaboration of many different types of aliens. Call them what you want. Different types of life. And they all work together. And they're all watching right now. And we're looking simple. Pay attention. Get on YouTube, because you're not going to see what's really going on mainstream TV, guys. You're just not going to do that. CNN, I mean, all that stuff. You might get some real stories here and there, but you're not going to get the gist of what's really going on. And if you are so tied up arguing and pushing buttons and just, I mean, it's like everybody is just caught under this spell. You know, we've let our egos and our pride take us down to like nothing. Communists have almost killed America. Please realize this, you guys. Realize this. And this whole time, everybody's been bickering about all this other stuff, and guess what? They're slipping stuff left and right past us. Left and right. Get on BillTrack.gov or just look up BillTrack. Bill Tracker. That's what you look up, the Bill Tracker. It'll take you and show you everything on that website that our government has been doing behind closed doors. And trust you me, personally, I think that there is no reason in the world why any of those government meetings should be going on where we the people, the constituents, can't see what's going on in there. Because they work for us, and I'll be damned if they know. I mean, seriously? How does that work? How does that work? I mean, you don't see, our boss, like you don't go to work and tell you're working for your boss. He's who's paying your check. You don't go and do some stuff behind your boss's back while you're at work and just do what you want. You just don't, it doesn't work like that. But with these people, it seems to. Because everybody's busy. Because the money trickles up here. Because they've made sure that it does. So everybody else, while they're sitting there robbing us blind, living high on the hog, we're all out here struggling, barely making it. There's people dying in the streets of hunger and thirst. There's people dying because they're freezing to death because they don't have a home. There's people getting evicted and thrown out on their ass. There's, people that are, it's ridiculous. It is unkind. It is uncompassionate. It is disgusting. And I am so tired of it. I am so tired of people lacking the sand to stand up, the backbone to do what's right, and just basic good manners and tact and just doing unto others, really though. What has happened here? The Bible tells us too in the end times that, the heart of people, their hearts are going to grow cold. That's what's going on here. I mean, look at the hate in the eyes of these people. You guys want to know what's gone on since so many have not bothered, and it's very obvious to tell. And I'm not lecturing. I'm just saying it's very obvious when people, whether they realize it or not, when people are backing up the Democratic Party right now and pushing for Joe Biden, it is very obvious that you have done no homework. You are not paying attention, and you are blinded. It is so obvious that I'm embarrassed for those people because they don't have a clue. They are not seeing anywhere close to what's really going on. And that's scary. However, there's issues on both sides of the fence. That's why I think the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, the left, the right, all of these things, we just need to drop them as a whole. It just causes division, and we're not capable of doing it. I grew up in a home where, we could just agree to disagree. We didn't have to drag each other through the mud, and we didn't have to try to ruin each other. We didn't have to wreck each other. We didn't have to hurt each other. Because hurting somebody else in the household hurt us as well. That's the way it's supposed to work, guys. We're supposed to back each other up. We're Americans. We're America. Land of the free, home of the brave. But you know what? People started forgetting that. And even though we see the words pretty much every day, united we stand, divided we fall, we couldn't remember that because so many people were busy putting themselves first. These people are supposed to lead by example, and they have not done that. Not. Don't misunderstand me. I am not going for either side. I am just telling you this is what I see and this is what is happening. We have an obligation to our children and to our country to protect both. You know, we have an obligation to humanity to be kind to one another. Right now, we have an obligation and a duty to make sure that the corrupt criminals in offices of power are not going to be in those positions anymore. We need to make sure, whether you like President Trump or not, point being is, he's tried and he's done a lot of good. Not saying I trust either side. I am just saying I see what is happening here. And I know a lot of people do not. Because if they did, again, we wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't have this problem. The last thing, if... I'm really trying to watch this. The last thing they do before they disarm, or is the last thing they do before a mass number of people are killed in genocide by governments, are disarm the people. Ask yourselves why they want to disarm us so bad. Ask yourselves why this last minute impeachment that is unnecessary. The only reason, guys, it is necessary, but it's only necessary to them. Because they know if they don't get him out of there, come hell or high water, they know that the bottom line for them is probably the firing squads that Trump put back into play a couple months ago. And before you go out and decide to protest, and be supporting Biden, remember, he's been in office and he's a career politician, just like so many of them in there. Which is why they think that they don't work for us. I mean, Biden is on record saying that. He doesn't think he works for anybody but himself. These people, they forget about us. Do you understand? They go to work when they want to. They get there. Come on, Nancy Pelosi's ice cream is more expensive than a couple of us's dinner. If we went through a drive-through. I mean, gourmet ice cream. When was the last time any of you were even able to go buy gourmet ice cream? I don't know that I've ever, per se, bought gourmet ice cream. I mean, I've had some Haagen-Dazs, But really, though, how do you think these people are doing that? They're putting themselves up in $700 a night hotels when they go do this stuff. I mean, they're just literally doing whatever they want with the money and leaving us to foot the bill, because who do you think's paying for all that? Think about it, guys. The money trickles up and everybody's pretty much broke. They've pretty much destroyed the middle class, and that's how you destroy a large part, if not the entire economy. I mean, they've wrecked us. Literally, none of them stopped going to work and making a dime when everybody else was forced to not work, pretty much because of this, COVID. Stop and look and pay attention for real right now, because this is it. We are out of time. And so we're clear. President Trump, whether people like him or not, we need to back his play right now and make sure that this Biden-Harris administration crap doesn't fly. Because I'm telling you right now, if it does, it's all the same agenda. This is worldwide agenda stuff here. And don't call it a conspiracy theory, because the second that things are proved to be factual, they're then facts. They aren't conspiracy. And they aren't theory. They're facts. Look up the quarantine facility stuff that's going on. Look up the stuff New York, actually pre-filed and had pushed for January 6th, Assembly Bill 416, I believe. Just look up New York A416. and you're going to see what I'm talking about. It's pretty disgusting. It's pretty upsetting, and it's not the first of its kind. However, I do think it's the way that they're trying to break it to the American people that our Constitution might not even be in play at some point. If you're confused on that, I didn't really get into that yet, but yeah, go check out the 88-page UN document. The UN mandate, rather, that was placed in the Federal Register August 15th of 2016 regarding communicable and infectious diseases. The Department of Health and Human Services put it in the Federal Register, you guys. And I'm not reading off of that right now, but I will read you what the gist of that one is, because that one's very long, but the state of New York just came out with this, and it's pretty much the same scenario, minus, a lot of extra details. But this was introduced, introduced by, it says M, like the initial M as in monkey, of A. Perry. And it says it was read once and referred to the Committee on Health. And it's an act to amend the public health law in relation to the removal of cases, contacts, and carriers of communicable diseases who are potentially dangerous to the public health. Now, y'all, they don't give a definition of removal, but I looked into some of that. And let's just say this does not look promising. But it says the people of the state of New York represent in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1. The public health law is amended by adding a new section, 2120-A, to read as follows. Removal and detention of cases, contacts, and carriers who are or may be a danger to public health. And then it says other orders. I don't know what that would mean, a semicolon, and then other orders. What's that? They're not even, it's very vague. And then it says, 1. The provisions of this section shall be utilized in the event that the governor declares a state of health emergency due to an epidemic of any communicable disease. And number 2, upon determining by clear and convincing evidence that the health of others is or may be endangered by a case, contact, or carrier, or suspected case, contact, or carrier of a contagious disease that, in the opinion of the governor, after consultation with the commissioner, may pose an imminent and significant threat to the public health, resulting in severe morbidity or high mortality, the governor or his or her delegee, including but not limited to the commissioner or the heads of local health departments, may order the removal and or detention of such a person or of a group of such persons by issuing a single order, identifying such persons either by name or by a reasonably specific description of the individuals or group being detained. Such person or group of persons shall be detained in a medical facility or other appropriate facility or premises designated by the governor or his or her delegee and complying with subdivision 5 of this section. Now, before I go further, think about the way they may order the removal and or detention. So, obviously, that tells you that removal is not the same as detention, guys. So, what do you think removal means? It means get rid of. Okay? Don't be fooled. It means get rid of. All right? So anyway, subdivision 5. And then it says number 3, a person or group removed or detained by order of the governor or his or her delegee pursuant to subdivision 2 of this section shall be detained for such period and in such manner as the department may direct in accordance with this section. Okay. Let's see. Notwithstanding any inconsistent provision of this section, a confirmed case or a carrier who is detained pursuant to subdivision 2 of this section shall not continue to be detained after the department determines that such person is no longer contagious. Let me ask you, what are you going to do when they then decide that their tests are not accurate because their tests are not accurate, guys. Not even close to being accurate. So, I'm just saying. What do you do then? Let's see. It goes on. And it says, sorry. Dun, dun, dun. A person or group removed or detained by order of the governor or his or her delegee. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Pursuant to subdivision 2 of this section, blah, 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 blah. Should be detained for such period and in such manner as the department may direct in accordance with this section. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So, well, and let me say too, how are they going to decide when somebody's not contagious? Okay. This is pretty much, in my opinion, it works a little bit like the herpes virus. Okay. I think people don't get rid of it. And I think they know that, and that's why they're freaking out on it. And I think it's not from here. I've said that from day one, too. However, let's see. A confirmed case or carrier who is detained pursuant to subdivision 2 of this section shall not continue to be detained after the department determines that they are no longer contagious. Let's see. A suspected case or suspected carrier who is detained, blah, 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 shall not continue to be detained after the department determines with the exercise of due diligence that such person is not infected with or has not been exposed to such a disease, or if the infected with or exposed to such a disease no longer is or will become contagious. Okay. Then it goes on, it says, a person who is detained pursuant, blah, blah, blah. Okay. They shall not, a contact of a confirmed case or a carrier shall not continue to be detained after the department determines that the person is not infected with the disease or that such contact no longer presents a potential danger to the health of others. And then it says the person who's, it says, as a contact of a suspected case shall not continue to be detained. 1, after the department determines with the exercise of due diligence that the suspected case was not infected with such a disease or was not contagious at the time the contact was exposed to such individuals, or after the department determines that the contact no longer presents a potential danger to the health of others. Here's the kick. Number 5. This is the other subdivision it was talking about. A person who's determined or detained pursuant to subdivision 2 of this section shall, as is appropriate to the circumstances, A, have his or her medical condition and needs assessed and addressed on a regular basis, and B, be detained in a manner that is consistent with recognized isolation and infection control principles in order to minimize the likelihood of transmission of infection to such person and to others. I want you to think about that and hear what I just said. If they think the person has an infection or is infected or is contagious, why would they have worded it like that? Did you catch how I said it? Listen to it again. Be detained in a manner that is consistent with recognized isolation and infection control principles in order to minimize the likelihood of transmission of the infection to such person and to others. That means they don't have the infection. They're worried about... So see what I'm saying here? Just look through this, you guys. You can catch little Freudian slips all the way through it. You know, they're going to detain you. These are camps to detain people, to stop this stuff. But yet, they just turned around and said, after they're saying they're going to pick people up that are thought to have it, but yet, boom, they're going to follow all these protocols in order to prevent the likelihood of, they want to minimize the likelihood of transmission of infection to that person and to others. Really, well, it sounds to me like they're going to put us in a place, if they have their way about it, where it's going to cause us to get this stuff. Okay? That's what it sounds like to me. I'll be back. I'll do a part 2 to this.